Hey, what up, everybody? Stevie Breach coming to you. In this video, I'm going to be doing the 20 questions game with FreakinYaYa88. Basically, he put a video up on his channel. Most of you should already know by this because I'm sure if you subscribe to me, you subscribe to FreakinYaYa88. But if you don't, head on over, check out his channel. And it's just a cool game for you to make a video. Hopefully, more people will be inspired to make videos off of this because it's an easy topic where he just gives you 20 questions and you just make a video like this, and you just say your answers, and then hopefully you're able to maybe learn some more about some people that you subscribe to and watch people's videos. So I think it's a fun idea. So basically I'm going to start it out right now. Alright, question number one is your favorite diva. Favorite diva all the time is Trish Stratus. Basically, Trish Stratus is the all-around best diva I can think of that there ever was. I mean, it's hard to top Trish Stratus. She's got the look, she's got wrestling ability, she's got cans. There's not really much that you need. I mean, she honestly is probably the best women's wrestler that the WWE has ever had. And I don't think that there's anything out there that has ever even come close. There's always girls that you say, like, this could be the next Trish Stratus that's out there. There's girls like, I don't know, Candice Michelle was getting pretty good at wrestling before she just got hurt and got kicked out of the game. Mickie James has always been great. She probably carried the load for WWE for a while when Stratus left. But actually, Trish Stratus and Mickie James, that's probably one of my favorite Divas matches of all time from WrestleMania. I don't think anything's come close to that since. And I think that actually women's wrestling has sort of regressed in the WWE. I think it's sometimes it picks up, but there was a while when they were actually out there trying to give you the best matches. When there was Mickie James, Lita, Trish Stratus. That was a real small window, but I mean right then they were actually going out there and really trying. Even girls like Tori Wilson, who couldn't really. They were giving their 100%. They just didn't have it. They had the look, and that's why they were there. They even really tried, but it seems like now, like WWE has like 1,000 divas, and maybe two of them can work. So I wish it was like it was back then, but right now, I mean, probably Maurice. And you got Beth Phoenix. People are very very high on Gail Kim, but I mean, there's very few chicks out there that can really go. My favorite match of all time would have to be basically just Kurt Angle and Shawn Michaels. I don't think anything tops that. Basically, from WrestleMania, these guys just went out there to steal the show. Basically, when it comes to pay-per-views, Shawn Michaels was on Raw at the time, and Kurt Angle was on SmackDown. And it was always when you watch the pay-per-views, they always had the matches, and it was always which match was going to be better. Was it going to be the Shawn Michaels match, or was it going to be the Kurt Angle's match? And these guys have openly told everybody that when they were going out there, they were going out there to steal the show. That's why they liked the pay-per-views that much because they were able to compete against each other on who was going to be able to one up the other one. And having both these guys in the same ring, these guys just tore the house down. I've had many conversations with people trying to tell people how good this match is. One guy, Ravi, who's a big Kurt Angle fan, says that Kurt Angle, owned the match the whole time. That Shawn Michaels was just sort of surviving in that match. But I always look at that as like Shawn is trying to get, he's just trying to get the one up on Angle, and that's what he's trying to do. But basically, these guys just worked very, very well together. They hit all their spots. There's nothing more that you can ask from this, and this is the match that I could watch 1,000 times over, and I would want to watch it for that 1,001st time. It is just money. That is I mean, there are other matches that I like, but this is the match that I honestly call my favorite, that I could watch all day every day and just not get tired of it. I thought it was just great, and I wish that well, I guess not because Shawn Michaels is retired, but that would be the one match that I would ask for a rematch for, and know that they would be able to deliver as well. My favorite match that rarely gets talked about is a match that honestly I had to be reminded of. Basically, me, Miguel, and some other people were talking on Skype, talking about just with the Christian title change, how many free TV title changes that they've given us, just sort of like to spike the ratings and spike interest in it, because everybody knows that title changes happen at the pay-per-view. Every once in a while they might give us a mid-card U.S. title or an Intercontinental title, but very very rarely, except for like cash-ins -1. have we ever got, you know, an actual world title or WWF title change. And one of them that happened was on SmackDown was a Iron Man match. It was an actual hour-long match. Yeah, there are commercials, but it's Kurt Angle against Brock Lesnar, and these guys just go out to beat the crap out of each other, and it is just all in out, a real wrestling, exhibition pretty much. They do go out and they do everything. These guys don't get winded or anything. They give you 100% the whole time, and that's all you can ask for. And I mean, an hour-long match that really keeps you on the edge of your toes, like that Cena and Shawn Michaels one really did, it just flashed into my mind. That's another match, but that gets talked about a lot because it's pretty recently. But I mean, this is a match that you have to really have to go out and look for and find. You have to hit the trading boards. It's a SmackDown show. It's on the Best of SmackDown, but they only give you clips. They only show you like maybe a minute and a half to 2 minutes at the most, if I remember right. But I am lucky enough that I have this recorded on DVD, and it is a match that I can't wait to watch again sooner than later, because it is a great match that I'm sure a lot of people don't really remember. I wish there was a way that WWE recorded during the commercials and they'd be able to put this out on something. I know we only have one Brock Lesnar DVD that came out before this match, so it's not going to be on there, but maybe someday they'll put together an angle set and we can get it on there. And but I would love to have this match in some form where other people could see it, but because it is just great. I'm sure if you look up on YouTube, you could find it. But Iron Man match, 1 hour, SmackDown, Kurt Angle against Brock Lesnar. For this question right here, it's my favorite jobber. And basically, for my favorite jobber, I know he was mentioned in FreakinYaYa88's video, so it's sort of like a cheap sort of use of the guy, but Barry Horowitz was the best guy. Barry Horowitz was the guy that when he was in the ring, doing the wrestling challenge and wrestling superstars, he always, played up to the crowd. Yeah, he's the jobber. Yeah, he was going to lose. There's no way in the world anybody would even bet $1 on this guy to have a chance of beating anybody. But a lot of guys when they come out there, like if there was just some jobber named like Ace Steel or something like that, just the hometown guy, they might give you like a wave or something that you can see in their face they've already lost by the time the match hasn't even started yet. They have their arms just like they're just sort of like glazed over, hunchback, and they're just like, all right, let's go, let King Kong Bundy kick the shit out of me. But Barry Horowitz was, he'd fist pump the crowd, he'd give himself the high fives. Normally he would at least get one sort of move in there, and he'd always play up to the crowd. And I love that about Horowitz. And I was right there on the edge of my seats when he finally beat Skip from the Body Donnas, and he got his big win. They actually made T-shirts for this guy, is how over this guy was a jobber. So Barry Horowitz is my all-time favorite jobber of all time. Alright, for this question, it's my favorite heel. My favorite heel of all time would have to be Triple H. Basically, I don't think anybody owns a wrestling business like Triple H does. He is a guy that can bounce around from, he can be a heel or a face, but I think the times when he has actually been a heel and been on top of the wrestling business, it has been as big as it's ever been. I mean, the first time he was on his heel run was in 99 to 2000. He wore the title into the new era of wrestling, you could say, going into the 2000s, when he basically just owns it. I mean, he is the guy that you love to hate, and for that reason, I mean, like, you hate that guy, and you swear to God that if this guy keeps the title any longer, that you're not going to watch wrestling anymore. But for some reason, you keep turning it on because you want to see somebody just actually beat the crap out of him. Just for running his mouth, he's got dirty tactics. He very rarely, when he's a heel, wins, matches the right way. He'd always, hit you with a sledgehammer and take you out that way. And that's what just makes you mad more. People always, point out that they get mad because he cheats, and that's the only reason why he's winning. But that's to get him over as a heel. That's, basically like to get you to the next show. Like if, he took out your man Goldberg, basically like he did at the Elimination Chamber at SummerSlam, that was to get, to the next pay-per-view. Like, so Goldberg will be able to get that shot, and you're like, well, okay, well, he didn't get it last time. Triple H said it's cheap, but, Goldberg's going to get it this time. Goldberg's going to get it. And, basically that's what wrestling's all about. It's just, it's just about building heat in order to get your money the next month to buy the next pay-per-view. And that, that's what Triple H did, because you threw down that money just basically to see who was actually going to be the one guy that's actually going to kick Triple H's ass. This one right here. My first favorite wrestler. Basically, when I first started watching wrestling, basically I was an '80s kid, so I didn't have any choice. Basically, you were force-fed the champion, and the champion was none other than Hulk Hogan. I bled red and yellow, just like he bled red, white, and blue. He was just, they made you think that you loved this guy, basically, 'cause he stood for all the right things. He stood for, America. He stood for not doing drugs. He stood for doing your homework, drinking your milk, and taking your vitamins, so on and so forth. And you didn't have a choice. I mean, this guy, he went out and won every time. I don't know why we love this guy so much. Basically, if you look back on it, the only time you ever got to see Hogan was on a pay-per-view. You had to pay to see him. If you were lucky enough to see him show up on a Saturday night's main event or something like that, you had to stay up super late. That was only once a month if he was even on the show. And any other time you saw him on like the Brother Love show or something like that, doing some crappy interview segment, most of the time it ended with him getting the shit kicked out of him. That way you were like on the like, oh man, I gotta buy my Hulk Rules bracelet in order to get me to SummerSlam. I don't know if he's gonna do it this time. I don't know if he can beat Earthquake. But Hogan was the guy that had you on the end of your seat, and you know, I still love Hogan. And watching those matches sometimes hurt, and they're laughable now, but I try to put myself back in that place where I was a kid, and I love and try to figure out why I love this guy. But Hogan was the man, and he always will be the man. I did a video with Just Ray the other day where he asked me if Hogan would come back, or should he just leave wrestling altogether? Does he still have something to offer? I think that was more of what the question was, and I honestly think if Hogan was in the WWE right now, I think that he would be in the same place The Rock was at. I think Vince would be able to use Hogan, the perfect way. I don't think that he's good on the booking side or on the creative side of TNA. I think that's what hurts them. If they were able to use him in matches or in some sort of build up to to something big, I think that's the right way to do it. But I don't think he needs to be in creative. I think if he could get himself up for one more match, I think he's wasting himself in TNA, because WWE, Vince, if they were able to come to terms, I know a lot of the problems they always come to with Vince and Hogan is always money. If they were to come find that perfect amount of money, I know Vince would use them, and I know Vince would be able to get them over for one big match that everybody would love. Alright, for this question right here, it is my favorite promo cutter. My favorite promo cutter of all time is none other than DDP. Bang! It's hard to believe, but that is my favorite guy. I think he's not going to be anybody names for anybody like this, but for me, the reason why I love DDP promos is DDP makes you believe that he's one of us. He could be the guy sitting next to you at the wrestling event drinking a beer that just happened to jump the guardrail, and he's going to beat the crap out of Ric Flair and win the title that night. Um, he just puts you in that mindset that he's just a normal guy that is doing his best in professional wrestling, and he's living the dream. He's doing what any of us could have done if he just went and put yourself through wrestling school, trained hard, and got to this point. That's why they call him the people's champ, is because just basically that he makes you believe that you are him. And it's crazy, because I mean DDP's nowhere on my favorite wrestlers listed, and until this video thing came up with Yaya, I never even thought about him being my favorite promo cutter, because this is like one that I really had to think about, and DDP's my man. Alright, everybody, for this question right here is my favorite match to witness live. My favorite match to witness live. Some people listened to my video that I put up the first time before I took it down, because it was all hip-hop and screwy. But basically, my favorite match to witness live was WrestleMania 26, John Cena versus Batista. Yes, I said John Cena versus Batista and not Undertaker versus Triple H. A lot of people think I'm crazy for that, but this match is great. Overall, it's good versus evil. It is John Cena, who stands for everything that's right in WWE, and it is Batista, who's basically Vince McMahon's, I guess you can call him his henchman. he got the title basically by taking out I almost said Booker T, by taking out Bret Hart and trying to solve Vince McMahon's problems before WrestleMania. He put the beat down on him on Raw, and Vince McMahon was thinking that was to be the last he saw of Bret Hart before he challenged himself for the WrestleMania match. But getting back to John Cena and Batista, basically Batista gave John Cena everything he had, and every time he gave him the Batista bombs or anything else, it was like you thought Cena was done. I just made a video where it looked like Cena wouldn't. I said John Cena wouldn't quit, but John Cena was pushed to that point where he looked like he was just there's no more he can take. He's given everything he give, and when you get the 1, the 2, and Cena would kick out right before the 3 count. Just the faces Batista would make is just crazy. He's just as shocked as you are. He's making the same face you are at home, like, oh my God. There's no way Cena can take any more, and then he gives it to him and gives it to him and gives it to him, and then he kicks out again. It's just, I love that match. That is one that every time I pop WrestleMania 26 in, it's honestly one of my favorite WrestleManias. I think it has to stand up in the top 5 of WrestleManias of all time. But that's the one match that I always go to and watch. I know they've just over put that on DVDs lately. It's on like the Cena Experience. It's on the best of WrestleMania, the history of WrestleMania. It's on WrestleMania 26. It's been on just about everything lately, it seems like, but it deserves to be because that's a damn good match from both of those guys who are, I would say, surefire Hall of Famers, and they deserved everything they got that night. That match, honestly, I've always been a fan of the title. The title should always be the main event, no matter what. Even Flair versus Savage at WrestleMania. That should have been the main event over Hogan and Sid. It would have made people leave happy, basically knowing that the match was going to end at a DQ with Hogan, with Papa Shango coming running out there. Even if the Ultimate Warrior came out there to make the save, I don't think that was a good way to end that WrestleMania. But I honestly think that WrestleMania 26 should have ended with John Cena winning the title because overall, I think it is what most people think about more than Shawn leaving. That's just my personal opinion. My favorite heel that I've hated is Shawn Michaels. I mean, Shawn Michaels when he was the boy toy, the heartbreak. I guess that was before the heartbreak kick. I think he was just the boy toy. But this is right after the Rockers breakup. Before he had Diesel as his bodyguard. He just had his manager, who was Sherry. Back like in the WrestleMania days with him and Tatanka. I used to go to church with my grandma, and then after grandma's, we used to go to lunch at her house and wait for my dad to come pick me up. And basically, I would we'd be eating lunch, and I'd turn on Wrestling Challenge or Wrestling Superstars. It came on at noon, and I'd be sitting there eating it. And I remember one night, or I guess day, whatever, he came out, and I just remember just telling grandma that, Grandma, I hate this guy. And my grandma is real proper and stuff like that, like most people's grandmas are. Just, Stephen, we don't talk like that. You can't say things like that. That's just not right. And I was like, no, Grandma, you don't understand. I just hate this guy. Basically, at that point, I wasn't into really, the in-ring wrestling. I caught on to that a little bit later, that I was, liking the actual matches more than storylines sometimes, and that was why when you saw competitors like Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, who at that time were, in the mid-card, wrestling matches that were most of the time more memorable and better than the main events. Like the main events you would talk about with your friends and stuff, but the mid-card matches were sort of in your mind more, and those are the matches that you always tried to wrestle with your wrestling buddy and try to imitate. But Shawn Michaels, I just didn't get that guy. Even if now, if you look back at that time and you see the merch that guy was coming out with at the time, it just doesn't make sense if you know what I'm talking about. It's just Shawn Michaels at that time, he had a vision for something, and I think they've made fun of him in a lot of his DVDs that have come out. Other wrestlers like Diesel and Shawn Michaels, it wasn't right. I don't get it, but the guy could wrestle, and that's why he had the career he had. Alright, for this one, it is my favorite Royal Rumble match. My favorite Royal Rumble match of all time would have to be 2002. And I know I'm a homer for saying it because it is the only Royal Rumble that I've ever been to, but all in all, the Royal Rumble match itself is great, especially because my man Triple H won. I mean, he came back from the quad injury. That year it was up in the air. A whole lot of people thought other people were going to win because it was a weird time because Jericho was a champion and Jericho was going in to fight The Rock, and a lot of people thought The Rock was actually going to win the title that night, or yeah, win the title that night from Jericho. Everybody was very, very surprised that Jericho actually got the win. But going in, I thought the storyline was just too good for Triple H to win, because I remember we rode the MARTA train in. I went with my buddy Christian. We sat up in the beer drinking seats way up top. And I just said that storyline was too good to pass up on. I knew that he was going to come back from that quad injury and he was going to go right back to the top. He was going to fight for the title at WrestleMania, and more than likely win it. That was just, it made more sense to me, even though Triple H is my favorite guy. Even if he was the guy that I hated, I think that it just would have made sense. Just the ovation that he got at Madison Square Garden. You know, the people wanted him back, and he was over as you could be. Also, in that match, I think is one of my favorite WrestleMania moments is the Hurricane trying to double choke slam Shawn Michaels. No, what the hell am I talking about? He's trying to double choke slam Triple H and Stone Cold Steve Austin. Is what I meant to be saying. That is just that is 5 seconds of funny, man. You could watch that 100 times, and I swear you'd laugh each time. Just by the point it looks like they're actually going to sell for the Hurricane, and then they just sort of look at each other like, wait a minute, this is the effing Hurricane. We ain't doing no double choke slam. And then they just beat the crap out of him. He just flies out. There is no tripped in this one, but and you also get Maven dumping the Undertaker out there. All in all, it is great moments in that Royal Rumble, and pop it in if you haven't seen it in a while, because that one's great. Royal Rumble 2002. This next question is a great one. Basically, it is my favorite wrestling shirt that I own. A lot of people are going to think it's the Swagger Basic. Actually, today, underneath the work shirt, I wore the Swagger Authentic right there. But a lot of people think it's the Swagger Basic, because real fans wear basic. And it's a funny shirt. I wore it to a lot of things. Basically, I wore the Swagger Basic to SummerSlam Access. First guy I met was Edge, and Edge made fun of me for wearing it. He's like, I didn't even know Jack Swagger had a T-shirt. And then I, ran down to Jack Swagger after that, and I was like, Edge is talking crap about you. Edge is talking crap about you. Let's go get him. And we all had a good laugh about that. And they finally came out with this shirt here. But all in all, honestly, my favorite wrestling shirt that I own is a TNA shirt. It actually is one of, I think I only have 3 TNA shirts. I got 2 of them from the brown bag special, wherever it was, and I've got one AJ, and I don't even know I'm talking about that, but I don't ever wear those really. But this is the Mr. Kennedy, Mr. Anderson shirt, whatever you want to call it. The Pro Wrestling is Real, People Are Fake shirt. I wear that a lot to family outings and stuff like that. People who know I'm a wrestling fan and sort of like, give me the snicker or make jokes about it. That's my favorite thing to do. Or that I talk to you guys and I make videos and stuff like that, because it's sort of like pretty much giving you the finger if you're not a wrestling fan. It basically just sort of like takes what they're thinking about you and just sort of stick it up your ass a little bit, pretty much. But that's a great shirt. I like it because it's so plain. It looks like it would only cost pennies to make, and they charge $20 for it. I finally got it on sale for I think $12 or $13.99 in the spring clearance sale, but that is probably the wrestling shirt that I go to most when I'm about to go out and wear something that you can wear, and most people won't even know what it is, but it's pretty cool that you're actually telling people off when you're wearing it. Alright, for this one right here is my favorite memorabilia item. My favorite memorabilia item I had to go get, but it is my Jack Swagger autograph. 8x10 right here. It is a pretty cool. I mean, Jack Swagger's my favorite guy. It's a great picture of him actually winning the Money in the Bank match at WrestleMania 26, which was my first WrestleMania. So it has a whole bunch of feelings wrapped into one. I basically got this. We went through SummerSlam Access last year, and when I met him, and I got to meet up with 2 of my favorite YouTube guys that have become 2 of my good friends, FreakinYaYA88 and Luke Cage. They were both with me when I got this signed. That's another reason why this is pretty special, and I guess you could say memorable to me. I've got other autographs and other things, but that one came to mind when I saw the question, because it just has so much stuff wrapped into it. It might not be what other people would think of as their favorite piece of wrestling memorabilia. I don't really collect a lot of stuff. Maybe for wrestling memorabilia, I have lots and lots of Hasbros. Everything that's in that, it's hard to point, that blue tub right there, that thing's full of loose action figures, about 75% of them in the old 90s Hasbros, like this Hogan right here, which sits on top of the Wrestle Center all the time. But that's probably my favorite wrestling toy. But I don't know if that counts as wrestler memorabilia. So probably the Swagger picture, just because it has so much feeling to it. All right, for this question right here, it is my favorite entrance theme to mark out to. Basically, I'm just going to tell the story of the SmackDown show that I went to. I think everybody knows I marked out for the Jack Swagger theme song at SmackDown, basically more than I've ever marked out for anybody before, because he's my favorite wrestler. I didn't think that he was going to be on the West Coast tour, because he wasn't featured at Elimination Chamber. I didn't think it made much sense for him not to get flown out to Oakland the night before for the Elimination Chamber, and then be in Sacramento, the next night. So basically, I guess WWE flew him out a day later so that they wouldn't even be sitting around Oakland for the day. I don't blame them, and not being used, but I just went ballistic. I brought the Swagger Town USA sign, the one that I lay down on my table here that I use for a lot of my DVD reviews, my unboxings. It's sort of like my background. Never really brought brought a sign home from whatever. I've never brought a sign home from the show before, but I brought that one home, so I think it's pretty cool that I lay it out like that. But it got on TV. A lot of people sent me the twit pics of that, so on and so forth. And Swagger actually tweeted about it, which made it even cooler. But I thought it was cool that my boss got to see me mark out for it, and WWE Punk fan, and his mom made fun of me on Twitter for going ballistic. Just going crazy. But I mean, I understand why Miguel said he goes crazy for the Stone Cold theme. It's always cool when that one goes off. But I'll remember just marking out for the Swagger one like none other. Just I was like, oh my gosh. I think it's better when a theme surprises you, something that you didn't want to be there. That's gonna make you mark out even more. Like when Luke Cage made the video when he marked out for The Rock. That was crazy. Like he had a feeling that The Rock was gonna be there, and the dirt sheet sort of pointed to it, and at the same time they pointed in their direction because they didn't want to be wrong about it. But it's always better when you mark out for something that you're not 100% sure is going to happen. All right, number 14. I'm doing it last, which is in the middle of the video. I'm glad that I broke these up into parts and did them this way because I skipped it on accident. Now I'm going back and hitting this one because I was going through the editing and I was like, why did I only have 19 answers to 20 questions? But number 14 was my favorite wrestler of all time. My favorite wrestler of all time basically is Triple H because he can do it all. Like I said earlier, he is the best heel of all time. He's my favorite wrestler to see as a heel, but he's also a great face. I think when he's on top of the wrestling business is better and it's at an all-time high. But basically, he can do it all, and basically the guy delivers. I mean, honestly, I don't think if I put a challenge out there for you to make videos or send me links to 5 bad Triple H matches, I don't think you'd be able to do it. I think you might be able to get 1, maybe 2. I'll spot you WrestleMania 25, the main event. He'll never be able to live it down, but Randy Orton versus Triple H, that match is boring. It's not a Triple H match. It's bad even for a Randy Orton match, and there's nothing really you can point to and blame it on. I mean, Taker and Shawn delivered, but I don't think it delivered to the point where it came down on it because when Taker and Shawn was announced, everybody knew it was going to be a good match, but like with WrestleMania 18, everybody thought that basically that Hogan and The Rock, that was just like that was the passing of the torch. That was the two wrestlers of the two biggest eras, wrestling. That's why there was so much on it. That's why that match is bigger than life. I don't honestly don't think that Shawn and Taker is larger than life like that. I mean, honestly, it delivered great match. I mean, honestly, it's in my top 5 to top 10. I wouldn't say. Well, I already talked about my favorite match of all time, Angle versus Shawn Michaels, but I just think Triple H can do anything, and I think that no matter where you put him on the card, there's times when he's not in the main event spot, and he doesn't mind going out there and jerking the curtain and going first. He doesn't mind trying to help somebody from the mid card out and make him look good. He's gonna go over in the match, no joke. But I mean, he'll at least get these guys in there, and even just working with them is gonna give him that rub to help him get over. And I think that Hunter's in a spot now where he's going to be wrestling a lot less, but I don't think there's any way that he's going to be retiring now or anytime soon. I think the Hunter's going to be stepping into that spot where he's going to be running more of the WWE, and I think that he's going to be taking over that Vince McMahon spot where he wrestled once to twice a year, because he is the figurehead of the organization, and he's not going to let the new star push him around. It gives him, it gives himself a good rub, if he wants to be a monster heel or if he wants to be a face, to go up against the heel or the face of the company, and that he's going to be able to deliver. I don't see Triple H deteriorating and going away anytime soon. I think that he is a guy that is going to be around forever, and I hope he is, because as I said, he is my favorite wrestler of all time. All right, favorite wrestler of all time who isn't in the WWF Hall of Fame. This is easy. It's an open and shut case. I've mentioned this in a ton of videos. It is a travesty. It is a crime. It's just all around wrong that Randy Savage is not in the Hall of Fame. I mean, this is the guy that basically Vince McMahon and Hulk Hogan. Basically they came up to the point where Hulk Hogan was over to no wins. That Hulk Hogan was at the point that he had done everything in professional wrestling and he was making money on top of money. Why don't we go out into the real world and try to make some more money? So they went out and they tried to make a movie, No Holds Barred, which is the movie that is so bad it is funny. If you haven't seen it, pick it up. You might hate it, but all in all, I think if you're a wrestling fan and you love Hogan, you're gonna want to watch it, and just basically the actors around him are so bad that it makes it hysterical. But and basically, so when he packed up and he went off to Hollywood to make this video with Vince, Macho Man is the guy that put the glue on wrestling. A lot of people thought that it was gonna fall apart without their main star. They had to take the title off of Hogan, and they dreamed of that way on the main event where Andre beat him and sold the title to DiBiase, and they were honestly scared that people were gonna riot. Because that's how they planned it out, that this was going to be held in Indiana, because they thought Indiana was a place that was going to be cool and calm and collect about what was going to happen that night. But I mean, they honestly thought if this happened anywhere else, that the fans were going to riot just because Hogan lost the belt. That's how over wrestling was in the 80s, and how people thought it was so real. But there was no fall. It actually, I think it got bigger and better from that point when he took the title. And Macho Man carried it. And I know a lot of fans that are fans today because of the Macho Man, Randy Savage. And that's why I think he's the best guy not in the Hall of Fame. All right, here we go. Favorite promo post expansion draft. So I guess it's basically anywhere from 2002 until now. I don't think there's any promo that's ever been as good as the John Cena versus The Rock promo, where basically, I guess they called it the final knockout. The only reason why I called it the best promo, because I think it's the only promo that anybody out there knows, basically word from start to finish. I think the auto-tuned remix that we got posted up on YouTube helped it. I know a lot of people that have it on their iPod. I have it on mine, and we made a video. I think Miguel is actually the one who put it up, but Ravi was in the back seat rapping it out. And I just thought it was pretty cool that somebody was actually able to learn every word to a promo, and that's what it's about. I mean, I think that's why I think it's the best promo that's out there. I don't think that Cena thought it was going to get as big as it did with everybody making the remixes on YouTube and stuff, but it was gold. And if he wrote it himself, he deserves a plaque just for that. All right, here we go. Favorite tag teams of all time. I mean, I am a guy that speaks highly of tag team wrestling. I love it. It is one of the reasons why I went to ROH in Atlanta, that I loved it. It was so many tag team matches, so many great tag teams in ROH. But my favorite, tag team, well, if you could think about 80s tag team, that's when they actually cared about, tag team wrestling. If you look at the earlier Survivor Series, they always had a actual tag team match where it was um, basically, I think 5 teams. So there was 10 guys on each side. They actually had 10 real tag teams at the time in WWE. And I'm not talking about like 2 guys just paired up like they do now. I'm talking about like teams like the Killer Bees, Strike Force, Demolition, the Brain Busters, so on and so forth. They had real tag teams that actually mattered. They could win a title on any night at any time. The Rockers. But basically, Demolition was my favorite tag team of all. They were to me, a lot of people, a lot of people compare these guys to rip-offs of Legion of Doom and the Road Warriors, but honestly, even if they are, Demolition is a team that I saw first, and just their theme song and their look coming out with like the little studs everywhere and everything like that was just was so awesome. I love these guys. They were never scared of anybody, faces or heels. They just took you out there and they just wore you down. They just kept beating on you and beating on you, and that's why they went on the year-long tag team title reign. There's nobody as good as Demolition, and nobody ever really compared. They never really made a tag team that looked like them. The LOD came in, but they were sort of doing their own thing in the NWA, WCW at the same time. So you can't really say that they took the spot once Demolition actually left the WWF. But that's a team that I'm always pushing for. Someday they're gonna have their day where they actually make the Hall of Fame, but. Demolition. That is a tag team. That is real tag team wrestling, and that's why they are my favorite tag team. All right, for this one, my favorite Money in the Bank cash in. Gotta go with the old hand. Gotta go Jack Swagger again. I think it was so cool, mostly because it happened so fast. He is one of the reasons why it tipped my hat at me. He had the promo on Raw before WrestleMania where he said that, when I win this thing, I'm not sitting around forever. I'm cashing in fast. I'm cashing in ASAP. That's when I was like, that Swagger guy's onto somebody. I've never, heard anybody say they were gonna cash in the Money in the Bank before they ever had it, and that was the one reason why I picked him in my prediction videos for WrestleMania 26. And he came running down at Raw to try to cash in on John Cena when he got all beat up by Batista, and everybody popped for that. And then he sort of like took his steps back and he was like, no, 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 never mind. And then he came running out there at Vegas, and I guess everybody thought the same thing, that he was just doing the same thing that he did at Raw for SmackDown, and he actually cashed in and he won, and it was just like, whoa, he blew the roof off that place, and mostly just for the fact, even though it's Jack Swagger, mostly just for that fake cash in that happened on Raw. That's why it is my favorite Money in the Bank cash in, because they need to come up with more, cool ways to do this. Actually, when The Miz won the belt on his cash in from Orton, he actually had a real match. A lot of these guys just come out there, hit their finisher, and then basically are handed the title like CM Punk and Edge and other guys like that. That's why it's so cool that they're always evolving. They're always trying to change it up a little bit. But Jack Swagger will always be my favorite Money in the Bank cash in. Number 19 now is my favorite Money in the Bank match. Favorite Money in the Bank match would have to be the first one, just because it was so cool, and just because of the talent that was in there. They had tons of guys that moved on to become main eventers in WB now. Jericho's. Well, I was about to say Shelton Benjamin, but Shelton Benjamin is the guy that always stole the show at the Money in the Bank, and it's weird now that well, I guess they haven't had one because they say he was still in Money in the Bank at the time, WB, and he was at the Money in the Bank pay per view. But when they finally have a Money in the Bank again, and he's not in it. It's gonna be weird, just not having him in there to steal the show. But I mean, like that first one, just because of the talent level and everything else that was in there, that's why it is my first Money in the Bank match. And plus, we didn't know what we were getting. We didn't know what we were getting into, and that's what made it so cool. For number 20, it is basically my favorite weekly TV show. Monday Night Raw is the show that I make sure I always watch on Mondays. I'm not able to watch it most of the time because I have to work until 9 o'clock at night, and I come home and I watch it on the DVR. But um, everything else just sort of like I'll watch it when I get a chance to watch it. Like TNA Impact sort of sits on there. If I watch it by the time the next one comes on, I watch it. If not, I delete it and just keep the newest one. SmackDown, normally get a chance to watch it, Saturday or Sunday, just when I'm sort of just kicking it or trying to fall asleep in bed. Pretty much is when I watch the SmackDown, and I guess NXT isn't even a real TV show anymore. But Monday Night Raw is the one that everybody just makes sure that they make it, because that's the one that matters because it's live. I think SmackDown would be a lot different if it was, somehow live, or I don't know, just the spoilers kill it. I mean, it's so hard to stay away from those spoilers. You can see that how fast they spread, especially with last week with Randy Orton Christian um, incident. It's just once you know what's gonna happen, it's hard to watch it. You know, you can, unless you're looking for a big spot or something like that. That's just the way I am. I had a lot of fun with this 20 questions with FreakinYaYa88, and hopefully a lot of people do video responses to that one. You can send them to him. I wouldn't mind if you paired them up with mine as well, and we'll just move on from there. But I think it's a pretty cool idea. Yeah, did, and it was fun making this video, and I hope everybody had fun watching it.